Florian Wirtz temporarily avoids further slander, unlike Alexander Isak. Meanwhile, this kid is a joke. Bellingham bails out Madrid, and La Liga's fixture in the US has officially been cancelled. This is DMAC Daily. You mean to tell me that Eintracht Frankfurt battered Galatasaray, who then defeated Liverpool, only for the Reds to turn the page on a 4-game losing streak by smashing Eintracht on their own turf? This club sure loves a 5-1 scoreline, by the way. The football gods always deliver unique scripts. Of course, it would be the Reds' ex-Bundesliga stars who delivered too. Szoboszlai, Konate, Ekitike cooking against his old club, and most notably, Wirtz with 2 assists to his name. Bro was 1 game away from 13 reasons Wirtz, but thankfully he came up against German opposition today. A desperately needed victory, but it's difficult to gauge whether this performance was simply down to Liverpool's brilliance or rather Eintracht Frankfurt's woeful defending. I mean, in their last 6 games, they've now copped 23 goals, so hardly a competent team defensively. But maybe it was just the 4-4-2 Brexit ball masterclass of Slot that ought to be credited. I'm curious as to whether the drastic changes today were due to rotation, or is he just fed up with players like Salah, for instance? That will be an interesting dynamic to keep an eye on. Ekitike will no doubt be keeping his place, especially considering Isak went off injured alongside fellow new signing Frimpong. Just quickly on Isak though, and I understand he's had fitness woes since joining, basically without a pre-season, but I'm still deeply shocked at how underwhelming his Liverpool tenure has been thus far. Like, this guy was a proven prolific striker. Newcastle fans will no doubt be reveling in his misfortune. Ultimately, I still see him turning things around alongside Wirtz. The clock is steadily ticking. One player who certainly isn't underperforming right now is Chelsea wonder kid Estevao. I was slightly worried that acclimatizing to the English game and the step up in overall quality would humble the 18-year-old at first, but I was wrong because literally every time he plays, he delivers something memorable. Today was no different, grabbing his first UCL goal for the club. Sure, it was from a penalty, but I was more impressed with his overall chance creation. The bicycle kick attempt being the pick of the bunch. This kid is just having fun out there. Not sure if he has the athleticism to be a winger long term. I mean, Maresca certainly thinks he's more suited to operating as a 10 in the future. Regardless though, I think Chelsea are a better team whenever he plays. I was also thrilled to see Gittins pick up the Man of the Match award. Personally, I don't think he was our best player today, but he's another that continues to improve. His first couple of outings were atrociously bad, but I'm glad to see the confidence grow. Chelsea were all about the youth today. Reggie Watts becoming their youngest ever UCL debutant at 17 years 2 days, and the Blues also became the first ever side to see 3 different teenagers score for them in a single match in this competition. Also great to see Hato showing his quality against his former club too. Another young lad that has exceptional potential. To be honest, I'm just thrilled to see Chelsea end a game without copping a red card. Moving to Madrid, and we just witnessed a goalkeeping masterclass. Both Courtois and Juve's Di Gregorio were incredible today. 12 saves between the pair. Di Gregorio's double stop was particularly outrageous, but in the end, this game would be separated by a moment of magic from Vinny Jr., whose effort struck the post with Jude Bellingham sharpest to react. His first goal of the season in his first European start. The Selly was back. A much needed confidence boost before El Clasico this weekend. I'm still so confused with this Madrid team because they don't look particularly great, yet are constantly scraping out results. Entertainment-wise, Alonso's teams have thus far been lacking. Tactically, they appear to be far more disciplined than last season, but they have also been exposed against stronger opposition recently. Atletico absolutely destroyed them, whilst the struggling Juve still gave them many problems. Focusing on the Bianconeri and its weird times in Turin, they've definitely got themselves a star boy in Yildiz, one who, if they can keep, can be their next great player. But the fact that he's captaining the side against Real Madrid speaks volumes about the state of this team. It's devoid of senior leadership. Think of the great Juve sides, full of experience and elite quality, something this iteration clearly lacks. Blame Tudor, blame their players, blame the strikers who can't hit a barn door for some reason. Granted, it's only early in the season. I don't want to be too reactionary, but I got a bad feeling about their trajectory in the months ahead. Elsewhere in the UCL, and Tottenham just had to ruin the English dominance in matchday 3. They were incredibly lucky to avoid defeat away at Monaco. Vicario saved their asses today. I know they're missing several key players to injury right now, and rotations were also in order, but the lack of creativity within this squad is becoming a recurring theme. In their opening 3 UCL games, they've been bang average. A fluky own goal got them over the line against Villarreal, they barely secured away at Bodo Glimt, and then were thoroughly outplayed by Monaco. Credit to Monaco though, they held City to a draw at home too, but from Spurs' perspective, this team is severely underperforming. Gee, they could use someone like Harry Kane, who was once again on the score sheet as Bayern cruised to a 12th straight victory, the best ever start to a season in Europe. To make things even better, 17-year-old academy graduate Karl Lennart in his first UCL start scored an absolute worldie in the opening 5 minutes. The quality in that one sequence of play alone, you can tell he's destined for big things. The vibes at this club right now are special. Company was hired a little over a year ago, having just been relegated with Burnley. Bayern just missed out on their first league title in 11 years. They took a gamble on Company, and he has since immediately re-established their domestic dominance and is now looking to take them even further on the European stage. I've been pleasantly surprised. Meanwhile, Galatasaray picked up back-to-back UCL wins for the first time in 13 years, with Osimhen running right against Bodo Glimt. Truth be told, he could have had 4 or 5 goals today. The atmosphere looked absolutely insane. Bodo Glimt's coach had to wear earplugs to drown out the manic noise. Also, shout out to Galatasaray's fans as always for their immaculate tifo game. Even their opposition had their full support, united on the right side of history. Athletic Club managed to come from behind against the Azerbaijani powerhouse side Karabag. Gurutheta the difference with 2 classy strikes. We also witnessed Marseille completely bottle it against Sporting. Pacquiao's beauty had them on track for 3 points, but then Emerson had to ruin everything in a rare instance of karmic justice. Bro dived in the box already on a yellow card. A penalty was initially given, but VAR overturned the decision, sending him off. Sporting then capitalized on their numerical advantage, coming from behind to secure all 3 points. And in Italy, Atalanta were held to a scoreless draw by unfancied Slavia Prague. Shifting gears to a mammoth story in Spanish football, and La Liga's planned Barcelona v Villarreal match in Miami's Hard Rock Stadium, scheduled for December 20th this year, was abruptly cancelled this week after months of preparation. Both clubs were stunned with the news. Villarreal learning mid-match against Manchester City, with their president visibly furious in the stands upon finding out the news. La Liga and its US partner Relevant Sports cited uncertainty in Spain and said it would be irresponsible to sell tickets without clarity. Behind that vague wording lay a storm of political, legal, and sporting opposition. Over the weekend, a symbolic protest took place in La Liga matches as players stood still for the opening 15 seconds of their matches to basically highlight their outrage that players were excluded from this decision to move a fixture abroad. La Liga faced additional scrutiny for attempting to hide the protests from their broadcast too. So fan groups, including the Spanish Supporters Association, joined opposition alongside clubs such as Real Madrid, filing formal complaints to Spain's higher sports council and warning that shifting a fixture overseas would damage La Liga's integrity permanently. Madrid's legal maneuvers, combined with the escalating tension between club president Fiorentina Perez and La Liga chief Javier Tebas, proved decisive. It was binned. This cancellation would have no doubt embarrassed Tebas, who had only weeks earlier declared the game was practically done and viewed it as an integral step in La Liga's international growth strategy. Now, Relevant and La Liga insist the concept isn't dead, only delayed, with Barcelona calling it a wasted opportunity, but future attempts will now require player support and government approval, which I think will be a lot more difficult to accomplish. So this was a phenomenal outcome. Mass mobilization through the form of broadcasted protests made this concept inconceivable, as it should be. Any true football fan should be against this idea. If you don't understand why, check out my previous video that explains the subject at length, but long story short, football wins for now. That being said, the Serie A match Como v Milan is still scheduled to go ahead in Perth next year. Hopefully, the Italian clubs can take inspiration from fellow La Liga clubs, because solidarity in numbers is everything. That is how you defeat corporate greed in football. Anyways, guys, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. See you tomorrow.